Hi, hello, and welcome to the Chatty Matty podcast. I'm your host, Chatty Matty. I love to chit chat and yep. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is super interesting, decentering men. We're going to be talking about, just from my personal experience and what I've observed as a queer man. I also want to preface, this is not a scripted podcast. This is completely off the dome. And so let's start off with, what exactly does it mean to decenter men? Decentering men, in essence, is really you just saying you're not going to have a man at the center of your life, or your world is not going to revolve around a man. It can definitely include a man, but revolving around him for your entire life? Ew. So, who do we have to blame for this? Because in some instances, there are people or entities that we can be like, well, they kind of pushed this mentality of centering men. And one of them is a mouse with ears. You guessed it. You can thank Disney for, oh, my prince is going to come save me if I just sit here and I sleep. Or, oh, like there is someone destined for me and will save the day. And it's usually a big hunky man or some skinny twink. Honey, baby, those only happen in the movie. I've seen friends and I've heard from other people where if an issue comes up, they will immediately run away from the person. And I bring this up within this Decentering Men podcast episode because I think some of us think that running away from a guy is decentering men. In a way, it is us saying, you know what, we don't need him. We can find someone better. You know what, we don't deserve this. We can find someone who's going to treat us better. But do you? Do you though? Will you though? Will you find someone who is willing to put up with that behavior? And the behavior that I'm talking about is when things get rough, why do you run? That lacks any sense of commitment. And what you really want is commitment. So again, as a queer man, we cannot say that we are so capable of decentering men when the reality is decentering men is more than just running away from a guy. It is more than just telling a guy off. It's me from the future. And I just wanted to continue my thought about what I think it means to decenter men, because I don't think it means to fully physically distance yourself from any partner or any potential person that comes into your life that is a man. I personally don't think that's what it means to decenter men. To me, what I think decentering men can look like is you allow yourself to interact with men that you feel safe around. And you also allow yourself the ability to decide for yourself and for every experience that you are in, the type of experience that you are going to have. Now, I don't mean you fully neglect the feelings of those around you, the feelings of the men that you're interacting with, because I truly think that we do have an effect on the people around us, whether we like it or not, whether we think it's our responsibility or not. I do, in fact, think we have an effect on said people around us. However, again, it is up to you to decide how you have and experience each instance of your life. And I think that's what it means to decenter men, is that you are the guiding force, the direction within your life, and a man is just an addition to your life. Again, it's not you physically running away from each guy that you interact with or saying, fuck men, blah, blah, blah. If that's what you think decentering men is, that's your definition. But to me, it's again saying that you have this ability to decide, again, like for all of us, to decide how we want to interact with men. We're putting ourselves first. So for me, there's no one correct way that it means to decenter men. I think there is the opposite of decentering men, and that is centering men, which is, the antithesis of what I'm talking about. And that often looks like doing everything that a man would appreciate and agreeing with every thought that a man has, or validating every feeling that a man has without logical reasoning, without question, without curiosity as to why he may think these things or feel these feelings. That's centering a man. So again,
Decentering a man is putting yourself first and having men as a nice addition to your life. And to bring this point about what it means to decenter men into the realm of queer men, I think decentering men looks the same for us in terms of we put ourselves first and our wants and our desires ahead of maybe a preconceived notion that a male or any type of man or masculine person is going to fix what is wrong with us. That we require some male figure or someone who washes away the daddy issues that we have because maybe our dads didn't accept us. That this person will come into our lives and heal the trauma that we've all experienced as queer men. And I am on the view that that is not it, that that is not a healthy thought to have. And it's not to say that it is something I hope nobody has. No, I actually want everybody to have someone that they can turn to and someone that they can confide in and build that type of loving, affectionate, caring bond with that's honest and open and authentic. I do. But I think what we forget as queer men is that before we can enter into a relationship with another male, another man, or just any other individual to begin with, is that perhaps we should look inward and try and see where we are coming from before entering into those relationships. And it's not to say that there is something inherently wrong with you, but I think that because we as queer men desire the affection and the love that we probably have been denied for the majority of our lives, that we kind of put on rose-colored glasses from the second we see someone physically attractive or even just intellectually stimulating, and we forget to take them off throughout the relationship or throughout the duration of the relationship. And sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes people don't want to see the reality. They're like, keep it on, keep it on, keep it on. But for the most part, I think other people unintentionally leave those glasses on because there's this deep desire, there's this deep want to feel like we are chosen by somebody. And to feel chosen by somebody perhaps means to some people that they have to deal with the qualms that come with a relationship. And I'm not saying fights or maybe banter or arguments, conflict really. I'm saying on a more extreme level, sometimes people feel like they have to excuse toxic behavior or they have to excuse dysfunction in order to stay within that relationship so they maintain that feeling of being chosen. And that is not one, we cannot fault that person for that for the most part, because yes, maybe they do have a choice. Maybe they do have some type of awareness. And I can say, you know what? Sure, they should have known better. But I also am human enough to know that emotions can override your logic. And if you are a queer man who has gone through a lot of trauma and you haven't done the self-healing journey that I think a lot of us should go through, then you won't know that you shouldn't be in that relationship until maybe the wrong time. And when I say the wrong time, I just want to avoid the saying of it's too late. But in essence, that's what I'm saying is you stay in a relationship potentially till it's too late and you're in too deep and you're just stuck and you're stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck. And I have to say, yes, you stayed, you wanted to, but I also understand that we have this desire, we have this deep yearning for connection. I just think that we allow this desire to be with somebody so we don't want to have to deal with that loneliness or that sadness around not being chosen for so long. And we end up in really, really bad relationships. And so a way to circumvent that is to decenter men in your life by saying, I do want a partner. I do want a man or a male in my life, but he's not going to do all the things that I know men are capable of. He's not going to do X, Y, and Z. And you can make an exhaustive list. You can make a list of the things that are the things that you want in a person and also are the things you don't want in a person. And sometimes we think that we should have just non-negotiables, but I think you should have some negotiation within the character traits that you want in a partner, because I really don't think your partner is going to be everything that you want right off the bat. I really don't. I think that they are going to be an amalgamation of traits that you find attractive from the get-go, and then traits you either have to develop attraction for or just acceptance for. And that's the true, I believe, way that queer men can decenter men is they can tell themselves that we are deserving of love, that we are deserving of being chosen and accepted by the right person, by the people that we feel like we actually want to be chosen by. Not the people that all our friends are getting chosen by, not the toxic guy that you met on a dating app, or the person you met at the bar who is giving you mixed signals, or the guy that you hooked up with and is now trying to ghost you. No, 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 no. Those people probably want a connection and a commitment too, but they just are going about it a different way. We can wish them love and peace. Sometimes we can hate them. Sometimes we can be like, that wasn't fucking cool behavior. But for the most part, I think some queer men are more capable of ghosting than straight men just because rejection is pretty much wired into our system from an early age. It's just we were on the receiving end of rejection, and now we are on the mostly giving end of rejection as adults or as we grow up. But again, decentering men is allowing yourself to have that experience of saying, this is what I'm going to choose in this moment. And I'm going to choose it because, for the most part, I want this. And this is aligned with me and my values and how I want to go about my life and just what I want in general. It is not saying, I am going to do this or I'm going to accept this or like this because this guy that's entered into my life likes this. I think you can say that once you've developed some time to getting to know this person, but a right off the bat connection, pause. I've been in many of those situations and take it from somebody who's tried to find love for the majority of my 20s. It is better to develop intimacy over a long period of time than to develop intimacy over a short period of time. Now, I'm not saying your situationships or your flings aren't meaningful. I can say I had one situationship in particular. I don't even think it was a situationship. I think it was just like a little moment in my life. I really do. But that person in particular changed my life in so many ways that I think I can't say that it was entirely all him, right? I can't say it was entirely all because of him. It was also because of me, because I chose to be with that person and I wanted to be with that person. And do I still, you know, look up to that as an example of, hey, I had this really great experience. Sure, it ended and it hurt, but still, after a while of getting over the emotions and reconciling with the things that happened and didn't happen, I can confidently say that because of my choice to experience this person, and yes, this person did not hurt me physically, did not hurt me intellectually. It's just, I would say, right person, wrong time, that it was worth it. It was worth it because I chose to stay or stick around with this person for as long as this person allowed me to, and as for as long as I allowed myself to stay with that person. And again, I think you are only able to experience these really powerful moments in your life when you fully commit to you and your experience. Yes, you're going to have these great interactions, but you oftentimes have to think about, what am I gaining? What am I feeling with this person? Because you can definitely feel in moments this really strong connection, but overall, is this person adding to your life? Is this person giving another addition or adding another chapter to the story of your life? Because if they aren't, you can definitely wish them well and say, this was great, this was fun. You can go along your way. And that's still decentering men, because you are saying that you put yourself first, You've assessed the situation. You see that you are not aligning with this person. And if you've done the work between the two of you, you've said, hey, this is my issue with what's going on. Can we talk about this? How do you feel about this? And if you both come to the conclusion that it doesn't work out, then it just doesn't work out. Then it wasn't meant to be. It's not anything of a detriment to who you are as people. It's just a timing thing. And it's just a mismatched, or you know how those drawings where it's like two people meet, the lines intersect, and then after a while they just go about their different ways? It's the same thing where it's for a time you did interlap, you overlapped, you did in fact intersect with each other. But now that you've assessed that maybe you've grown apart and you're going on different paths, you can choose to wish each other well, wish each other love, and go about your life with the memories you've shared with each other. And that is a benefit of decentering men, to where it's, you will definitely feel the hurt of ending things that are beautiful and intense and safe and secure, because while beautiful and intense feel amazing, you want to make sure they're with the right people, and also you're really experiencing those things in a safe environment and with a safe person. But when those things end or the intensity fades, what you are stuck with is yourself, the person that did experience that intensity. And so you have to ask yourself, what did I learn from that intensity? How am I going to go about my life after this? Because I think if you don't acknowledge what you went through, and you only go chasing after that feeling again and again and again and again and again, and you don't self reflect, I think you are centering men in a sense, because you're trying to find the next guy that will bring about that feeling. And though that may be something that satisfies you, and so you think you're the motivating force for that, the act of actually persistently trying to find a guy to regain that feeling is not you decentering men. It's actually centering men, because men are the solution to the thing that you're lacking. Men are the solution to that missing part of you. And yes, we are social creatures. I do not think you should stop looking. I do not think that it's bad that you're looking. But I think that we have to kind of develop this discernment or kind of nuance to the act of trying to find the next person or the right person that chooses us. Because again, you have to be comfortable with at least, I want to say 90% of yourself before this great 10% comes in and just below, like completes everything. Because we do, for lack of better words, bring ourselves into every situation. And I would say that to be able to have someone choose you is to choose yourself first. Work on yourself. Love yourself. Figure out yourself. A lot of us don't even know who we are because we're trying to follow these cultural scripts of, in my 20s, I should be having the great job. I should have the great partner. I should have the house. Unfortunately, yes, maybe in the 1920s, or not even in the 1920s, because we had the Great Depression, maybe in the 50s and the 60s, but in the 2020s, it is hard out there. So take the pressure off of yourself if you are one of the people, and I used to be one of those people too, where it's like you think the cultural script is what you should be following. Honey, the cultural script literally centers men as one of the driving forces that will bring joy to your life. Find the perfect boyfriend, get married, have kids. What do you think you're doing in all of those events? You are with another person, most times a guy. And most times, because we are so, some of us want to really complete the script, so we're just set for life. It's with guys we don't even like or are attracted to. It's just guys that, for a moment, yes, we saw something in them. And then over time, you might think, what the hell? Hello? What? And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just happens in random moments in life later on where it's like, I really don't think we like each other. I really don't think we mash anymore or we kind of mesh anymore. And guess what? That's also fine. That is also fine. Because again, if you have the conversation of, hey, Do you think we're meshing? Because I don't think we're meshing. You are pretty much centering not only you, but you're centering the relationship and that partner, which I think is something super healthy and super admirable to do because you are saying, I am committed to me and my feelings and my values and my life, but I'm also not going to neglect that there's somebody else in this relationship that I built up who is also probably going to feel something. Because if I did neglect that, then what does that say about me? What does that say about how I treat other people and how I treat myself? And so, again, having the conversation, even thinking about where you are at in your relationship is decentering men because you are not saying that you are going to commit to this relationship no matter what. You can love someone, but you can also love yourself. Those two things do not have to be exclusive. You can love yourself and you can love other people. You can love yourself enough to question whether or not you want to stay. You can love other people and you can have a great capacity to love other people and you can have a great capacity to love yourself. You can say, I will commit to this person so long as they are showing up and I can see that they are actively trying to save this relationship. And you can also say, I will also love myself enough to communicate to this person when I think I cannot give them what they're looking for because I love them enough to let them go. And so, by virtue, you are saying, I know I cannot give them what they want. And in this act of love, I set you free because I know within myself that you deserve someone that can give you what you want. And that is decentering. Another example of decentering men is yes, you are putting the priorities of your partner on the same level as yourself. You are also, and at the same time, you are also putting your priorities first too. You are committing to both of your well-beings. And that is something that I think we as queer men need to do a lot more of in terms of acknowledging that we are not the only ones affected in the connections that we make. There are other people within these connections. And I am preaching about this, even though I am guilty of doing this in my younger ages of just ghosting and of trying to make like I was the only one that wasn't doing anything. It takes two to tango. Sometimes there are people who do way more than you, but for the most part, there is two people involved in a situation, sometimes three or four if you're into open relationships and polyamory. Whatever floats your boat, I love that for you, boo. But that's what I'm saying is in terms of queer men, we have to have that conversation. We have to acknowledge that we do have that effect. And that even if because we acknowledge we have that effect, we can also acknowledge that the effect that we have on other people is affecting us as well. And so if you are not showing up authentically as yourself and you're trying to either people please or change parts of yourself to fit in, you're still centering men and to an extent other people instead of centering who you are, what you like, what you value, you know? And so never chase a man because the right man will come into your life. And I hate to say it. However, I do think I've experienced it once or twice. It will happen when you least suspect it. So that means focus on yourself and the right person or persons will come when you're not even looking. Because now you focus on other stuff, they get to see you and you finally get to see them. And to that, I say, cheers, bitch. I love you. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.